Many lifters train with intensity, watch their diet closely, and even track their workouts religiously. But despite all that effort, the results often fall short. Why does this happen? The answer surprisingly lies in a deeper understanding of the muscle building process, specifically the 3 key phases of muscle growth. Most lifters only focus on one phase, training, but real progress happens when you understand how all 3 phases work together. Missing just one of them can dramatically limit your gains. Let's explore each one of these overlooked phases and how you can apply them to unlock your full muscle building potential. The first phase of muscle growth is muscle disruption, and it's the part most lifters are familiar with. This is the process that occurs during your actual workout. When you lift weights, particularly under heavy loads or high tension, you create microscopic damage to your muscle fibers. This damage is not harmful. In fact, it's a critical signal to your body that adaptation is needed. During this phase, your muscles experience mechanical tension from the force you apply, metabolic stress from the buildup of byproducts like lactic acid in your muscles, and sometimes muscle damage from the breakdown of the fibers. Together, these all create the stimulus that initiates the muscle building process. However, many lifters fail to generate sufficient disruption. This usually comes from training too safely, stopping sets far from failure, lifting with poor intensity, or using weights that are too light to challenge the muscle. Without a strong enough signal, the body simply has no reason to adapt or grow. To maximize this phase, training must be progressive, intense, and controlled. Using proper form, challenging loads, and tracking your workouts ensures that muscle disruption occurs effectively. But training is only the beginning of the process. The second phase, and perhaps the most underrated, is recovery and repair. This occurs after the workout ends, and it's when the body begins rebuilding the damaged muscle fibers stronger than before. During this recovery period, your body initiates several critical processes. It repairs damaged muscle tissue using amino acids, primarily from dietary protein. It replenishes glycogen stores within the muscle. It reduces inflammation and begins restoring cellular function. It recalibrates hormone levels to support the next spout of training. This is where the actual growth begins to occur, not during the workout itself, but during the hours and days afterwards. Unfortunately, this phase is often ignored. Many lifters under-recover by not sleeping enough, under-eating, or training the same muscle groups too frequently without sufficient rest. Recovery isn't just a passive process, it requires intention. To optimize this phase, focus on sleep. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep each night. Nutrition. Consume enough total calories and aim for around 2 grams of protein per kg of body weight daily. Program in rest days and avoid excessive volume or intensity week after week without breaks. The final phase of muscle growth is supercompensation. This is the point where your body doesn't just recover to baseline, it adapts and builds back stronger and bigger in anticipation of future stress. Supercompensation is where strength increases, muscle fibers thicken, and performance improves. It is the reward for disrupting the muscle and recovering effectively, but it only happens when recovery is sufficient and the body is given time to adapt. Here's why many lifters make the critical mistake. They interrupt this phase by training too frequently or not allowing enough time for adaptation to occur. This leads to chronic fatigue and plateaus. To support supercompensation, a lifter needs a balanced program that cycles intensity, includes deloads, or lighter training weeks, and allows enough time between training sessions for the same muscle group, typically 48 to 78 hours, depending on the volume and load used. Consistency is also key. Supercompensation doesn't result from one good workout. It comes from repeated disruption, recovery growth cycles over weeks and months. The reason most people fail to build serious muscle isn't a lack of effort, it's a lack of structure. They train hard but don't recover, or they recover too much and train too little. Others often just skip the progressive overload entirely, doing the same weights and reps for months. To make real, long-term progress, all three phases need to be dialed in. Here's how. Train with purpose. Use progressive overload. Control movements and push yourself close to failure. Focus on quality over quantity. Prioritize sleep, nutrition, and stress management. Program for adaptation. Give your body time to adapt. Track your progress and avoid program hopping. Incorporate deloads and smart progression to keep improving. Muscle growth isn't magic. It's a biological response to stress, recovery, and adaptation. Most lifters only focus on the stress, neglecting the rest of the cycle. But once you understand and apply all three phases, muscle disruption, recovery and repair, and supercompensation, your training transforms. You start seeing consistent gains. You stop hitting frustrating plateaus. And for the first time, your physique begins to reflect the effort you're putting in. Most lifters skip these phases, but now you won't. So, if you learned something in this video, make sure to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.